Let me tell you how I rage against the machine. I've been very quiet on this app after all the events over the weekend, and what happened to person who will not be named because I'm not trying to get banned is unfortunate. I don't care what side you're on. Okay? I'm not on a side. If you follow me, you know that. I don't believe in the left versus the right, blue versus red, women versus men, gay versus straight, black versus white. All of that, especially the left versus right, is to distract you from the actual reality of how our system works. Okay? I would equate our government to being very similar to the lottery system. I'm going to throw back to my old pageant days. When I was in law school, I did beauty pageants so that I could pay for my law school. And I worked and went to law school at night, and I didn't have any student debt. And my parents helped me out too. And my husband helped me out. But we all helped out, right? Neither here nor there. Go back to the pageants. And beauty pageants, because I would always win the talent portion, I would win some money. But they had the interview, like panel interviews, and they'd ask women questions when they were on stage, when you got to like a finalist round. So I remember being at this pageant, and I never did well in the interviews because I always went way in depth. Like they would ask me a question, I'm going very deep. I'm going like 15 layers in, right? That's how I ended up studying international affairs and world religions and, becoming a lawyer. And that doesn't do well in pageants. You need like surface level, smile, easy answers. That's what people like. That's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want you to get complex. They don't want to do nuance, but that's what this girl does. So I never won that part. But I do remember standing backstage watching this girl answer a question. She says, the question was, do you think the lottery system is a tax on the poor? That was a complex question for, and the girl steps back. And she's like, I think I'm from Georgia, we have the lottery system, pays for college. She goes, I think that the education that people get from the lottery system is a great thing. Education is great, all right? Like something super generic. And she missed the nuance. What nuance did she miss? She missed the nuance that lower class people disproportionately buy a larger number of lottery tickets that then pay for middle class and upper middle class children to go to college. She missed the nuance. That was why are they calling it a tax on the poor? She missed it, went over her head. I would equate that to how our current system works. The lower middle class, working class people pay for the global agenda of the elite ruling class. It's not left versus right. Do you always wonder why it doesn't matter who gets elected? Like nothing ever changes. It's a false. Voting is false, right? The elite ruling class pay for both sides. They fund both Republicans and Democrats to do a global agenda or a corporate agenda or a foreign agenda, whatever they want to do, which has nothing to do with the American people, the wants and needs of the American people. We know this from the Princeton University study that showed that voting and the wants and needs of the American people are not legislated. The more income that people have, money they have, the more likely it is that laws are going to get written in their favor. And that's because of the way that our lobbying and congressional races are funded. Okay? So it's kind of like the lottery. We fund it, okay? I don't care if you're making like $5 million on a W-2. You're not in the elite ruling class. We're talking billionaires. We're talking people. There are people you don't even know. You don't know their names, okay? That fund both parties. Okay, us pay for the global agenda. So the only way I can fight this system is through the tax. I've known this my whole life. I've gotten like more nuanced in my thought patterns now, but like the left versus right propaganda doesn't work on me. A lot of the stuff, even when I was in college, law school, I was like, no. But when I talk about it with my family or my parents or my husband's parents, they get very upset. They want to hear the truth. Like there's different levels of consciousness, and some people are just zombieing through life and they're just fine and everything's fine. But us younger people know, like my kid, I can't live in it. We also, like, just because you can't see the chains doesn't mean they're not there. We're very comfortable in America, very comfortable. But I think they're working on making it less comfortable, and that's a very dangerous thing. So taxation is my only way to rise up against the machine. I want to educate people. I want to empower people. I just posted a video about something that I'm working on that I think will flip the tax industry on its head, and it will provide empowerment and education to those that are targeted the most by the IRS's automations. So if the government's going to create automations, I'm going to create 100 automations that will fight harder to defend people, that will tie them up, and people will get in the right place where they deserve, because we're going to make the system a lot less complicated. But the government's going to keep using automations, and you need to know how to exercise your rights, not just in tax, but with everything. And we all have to work together. It's not left versus right. It's never been left versus right. There are people that are controlling the laws and everything in this country. And we have a power. You have to have your consciousness. You have to educate yourself. You can't just watch talking heads on the news. You have to be analytical. You have to be willing to dig deeper. Things are not what they appear. The whole world is a stage. And we are all being manipulated. So, taxation is my way of fighting the system. We do tax planning. If you want to create a business, figure out ways to lower your tax liability legally. Okay, legally is important. There are legal ways to lower your tax liability, to keep more money, to pay less taxes. Investments, capital gains are lower rates. Real estate investments, businesses, you can write off expenses that are related to your business. They're ordinary and necessary. But there are a lot of loopholes. We have to, not loopholes, they're laws. But you have to follow the laws. So if you don't know, you need to educate yourself. If you don't know how to execute it, hire a tax professional, a CPA, a tax attorney, enroll agent. We do all of those things. But that is how I fight the system. Because the system has less money from us working class people. The money, we feed the machine less legally, the machine has less to work with. And that's my rant for the day. Be kind to your neighbor. Care about people. It's unfortunate what happened. That kind of, again, I can't use certain words, should never happen in our kind of country. But it's getting worse and it's getting dark, and you have to educate yourself. And the only way we're going to get out of this is if we find the light within our neighbor, and we figure out how to come together as one, the bottom 99, and figure out who is these people that are in the ruling class. Call them out. Hold them accountable, get our elections back, vote for people that are not going to take PAC money, that are going to have Americans' interests at heart. We need term limits. We don't want to do any more insider trading. These are very easy things that we could all work together. So don't let the government, don't let the media confuse you about left versus right. Okay? Use your brain. Don't be the girl at the pageant that slips right over her head. Okay? Don't be her.